Welcome to the Heart-Led Soul-Fed podcast. This is season 3. I'm Christine Gold, and yes, formerly known as the Power of Healing Your Energy show. Let's go. This is a live show and podcast all about love, light, intuition, and your soul's purpose. Episode 182 welcomes Julia. She's a LightWorker, WayShower, and MultiDimensional channel, and she works with the beings of absolute light, crystalline, diamond, and golden LightCodes, plasma, platinum, rainbow frequencies, and you are so lucky to be here and witness and hear and feel the frequencies to support you on your highest ascension path. Depression and anxiety are a side effect of not living your life intuitively, not trusting your gut, the lost connections with yourself and others. And I truly believe healing is the end of conflict within yourself, and that healing begins where the ego ends. My first book, Intuition Saved My Life, is a guide for empaths, lightworkers, and sensitives, and it's available on Amazon now. Replays can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and Anchor FM. Please like, subscribe, and follow. We're live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And I want to give a shout out to my supporters, Catherine in France and Gitte in Denmark. Hello and welcome. Come on in. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited. I just finished with the lovely Rosie Batista and giving her a shout out. And today we are going to align with your true nature. Come on in. If you're on the replay, say hello. If you have any questions for myself and for Julia, please send them our way, either through Facebook and YouTube or through anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. So thank you so much for being here. And you know what? I'm just going to bring Julia in and stop talking. So come on in. Hello and welcome.
Hi, lovely to be with you here and also with all the listeners. Thank you all so much for making the time in your day to be here with us.
Yes, yeah, we do appreciate your time. And look at that, Patty's already here. We just love Patty. Woohoo, she says. And I can't wait for this. See? She is super stoked. So if you are as well, you're in for a treat. I am in Lima, Peru, and where are you?
I'm in Nagano in Japan, which is near the Alps, the Japanese Alps.
And it's funny, we're polar opposites right now. I am extremely warm because we're in the beginning of summer, and you are?
Yeah, it's really cold here in the winter. And as I was just telling Christine before we get on, I have my hot water bottle boots on to keep my feet nice and snug and cozy. So
Lovely, lovely. And yeah, what time is it there, by the way?
10 in the morning, not
10 past in the morning. So it's the next day.
Yes, yeah. And
yes,
for you,
okay.
Right?
Yeah, it's 10 after 8 in the evening the day before. So, I mean, this is amazing, this technology, right? How we can connect this way. So I really appreciate you. And did you want to talk a little bit about your story? How did you even come across channeling, or how did you even know what was happening?
Right. It kind of began, if I take us right back to 2013, the beginning of 2013. And well, in retrospect, I know that the universe was waking me up. But at that time, I didn't have any of that terminology at all. I wasn't remotely interested in anything spiritual. And I suddenly found myself anxious and depressed. Now I know that at the end of 2012, lots of, high photonic light was coming into the planet to wake up lightworkers and wayshowers. So now I can kind of connect those two dots together. But at the time, I had no idea what was happening. and it was really difficult. It was like a dark night of the soul. Like I was crying every day, but didn't really know why I was crying. And it was even hard to like get out of bed and get to work at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Kind of, I managed it, but it was hard. It was a hard time. And I knew I didn't want to go the traditional route of medicine. That was partly because I'd seen my father take medicine for depression and didn't feel that he didn't get addicted to it or anything, but I didn't feel like it had really helped him to come back to a place of being very centered in enjoying life. So I was like, well, I don't really want to go that route, but I knew that for the first time I couldn't help myself, or I couldn't like pull myself up and stand up by myself. So a mutual friend introduced me to an energy healer. In fact, a couple who were both energy healers. And it really was divine timing. Like they had just moved out to the village next to mine, which is about a 30-minute drive, literally a few months before. And they were there for the duration of the time that I received the healing energy sessions, which was just over a year, I think. And then shortly after that, they moved again. So it really was like, it was like the universe placed them in my path. And so that got me on, they were working on my chakras, and I could feel, although I had no idea at the time what energy healing was or anything, I could feel that I was feeling better, even if only very slightly at first. So it was like, well, I'm going to keep it up and keep trying it. And I'd also been I've done Tai Chi for like maybe 16, 17 years. So I had like a slight understanding that, okay, in Tai Chi, I can't see the energy, but I still know it to be true. So I can believe this about energy healing. And basically that got me on this path because I started listening to a lot of spiritual talks. I started buying courses that my higher self led me to, and doing a lot of inner work, which I'd never done before. And basically, fast forward a couple of years, and I was connecting to my higher self, and I very much felt like this couldn't all be happening just for me, that I wanted it to be useful and in a wider context, so to support people beyond me. And I started writing a blog, but I still felt like I was here to serve more, but I didn't know how. So I kept on just putting that intention out to the universe. And I initially started writing a book. And when I was writing the book, it was like I was channeling my higher self. So I started, at the time, I wouldn't have referred to it as channeling. I called it connecting. But when I started to channel, I was like, oh, this is kind of just like what I do when I speak with my higher self, but it allows other beings to come through as well. And then I got an intuitive message, like, because I used to like do weekly talk to my higher self kind of sessions at the start of the week. And I got this message that the start of June, the first weekend of June, was going to be a really important weekend for me. So I wrote it down. I was guided to write it down on my calendar. So I did. It was like 2 or 3 months in advance. And then one of my friends, who is an intuitive healer, when I met her a couple of weeks after that, she was like, oh, is your birthday in June? And I said, no. And she said, I'm getting the message that June is like somehow significant to you. So I thought it was your birthday. So that was like the confirmation for me as well. So all through my journey, I've had that sense of the universe putting those signs so that I in front of me, or putting the right people in the right place at the right time. Oh, and as we mentioned, before we got on, this was the time when like I was getting feathers almost every day as well, appearing before me through this period of time. And so on that first weekend of June, when we got there, I was just connecting in meditation, and Archangel Metatron came in and said, would you like to be a channel for my messages and for my light codes? And I said, yes, of course, because that's kind of what I'd been waiting for. I know some people, they say they start to channel and it's almost abrupt, like they hadn't been hoping for anything like that. But I'd been like wanting to be of service, greater service, and not quite knowing what my role was. So for me, it was a very immediate yes, like this is kind of what I've been waiting for, hoping for, not that I wasn't expecting it to be channeling. I had no idea what it was going to be, but it was like, oh, yes, now I can feel like I connect with a greater purpose. And I practiced for a few months and then started sharing the messages, first only written messages publicly, and then it all expanded from there. So now I work not just with the Archangel Metatron of Absolute Light, but also with various other light beings. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, one that I never could have imagined. If you'd asked me, I mean, even like back in 2014, when I was starting to come out of, of the dark night of the soul, and I was as aligning with my higher self, even then I would never have imagined that I would be now where I am now and doing what I am now. But if you'd asked me back in like 2012 or 2011, before I kind of got onto this path, it's like it would have been so foreign to me that I probably would have laughed at you and said, "What, me? Are you sure?" So it really has been, I wouldn't say it's been sudden. It wasn't like an overnight waking up like some people get, but it did feel like I was being fast-tracked because I was here to serve a purpose and that I needed to get into alignment with that purpose. So that's my journey. And Christine, I don't know if you want to ask questions about that or to share your journey or...
Oh, no, I resonate with a lot of it. Like you're saying, like feathers and breadcrumbs and messages, and you were fast tracked. I think that one really resonated with me. That's how I felt too. And I mean, mine started in 2018, but it was rapid, and it felt honestly, it felt like it was a minute. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Even though it's been 4 years, it felt like a minute. It just and do you feel every day you have this burning mission, passion, purpose? You're like, "Okay, I'm getting up and this is, whatever it is, I'm in service and I'm very focused on that service." Does that make sense? Because that's how I feel.
Yes, certainly since I've been doing the channeling and sharing it publicly, it's like I kind of prioritize that over other things, even when it's like a bit inconvenient for me, because I see that as being, why this was given to me. It's given to me as a gift to share. At first, I actually found it hard to balance it within my life, and I found I've had to create. Not actually that good at doing it, but I found that I've had to create some boundaries around it too. Because, if I'm really tired or whatever, then it's actually, it's not good timing or just before my bedtime. That was what would happen. They would bring through a message just before my bedtime. So by the time I've written it all down, it's just like, wow, like now I'm getting to bed an hour later than I wanted to. And I had to really create boundaries around that. But that was partly because I really wanted to, I still really want to be in service. So when a message comes in, I'm like, okay, we need to get this done. But I've said to them, like, please don't do it like right before I'm about to go to bed. Like, let's get them written down earlier in the day so that I'm not having to do things that don't feel like I'm honoring me, basically, because that's what that ended up feeling like. It's like I'm honoring that work at the expense of myself at times. So I've had to be a bit careful with that. Mind you, I think that has been a pattern in other things that I've done too, my pottery or my English teaching. So I think that even when we get it, my take on it, I don't know, is that even when we get involved in this work, if we have got patterns, they will present. Perhaps we will receive a healing from them and they won't. But in my case, they presented in my interactions with the beings of absolute light is what I felt. So I was like, this is an area where I need to make sure that I'm taking care of myself as well as being of service. Because, of course, we can't be of service if we're not filled up ourselves.
Yeah, we were just talking about that in a episode I just recorded earlier today. Yeah, self-care is everything. It is a necessity, is not a luxury. And a lot of us healers, light workers, end up burnt out, or they call it the wounded healer, or whatever it happens to be. I love that you made rules with spirit, and I want to remind people I do that as well. They're not allowed in my bedroom. They're not allowed to show me gory things, from the other side. Only things of love and light, but there's parameters, because if you're open to everything, then guess what? You're on 24/7.
Yes.
Yeah, very important. And Patty is so excited. She loves angels and especially Archangel Metatron. So she's pretty
Oh,
she's
wow.
pretty pumped about that. All right. Yeah, no, lovely work. I mean, you do a lot of creative things too, like you talked about the writing and the pottery. I wanted to say pottery. So that was like a mix between poetry and pottery. So I don't know, are you doing poetry as well?
Yeah,
You can't even say it.
poetry is my first love from my teenage years, and I do
Ah,
occasionally share poems, not as much now, but okay. I love writing poetry. Yeah.
and I actually used to write haikus. And we
Oh,
had, I think
wow.
I mentioned that too. We had a woman here that showed us how to make those little boxes out of paper. I don't know
Yeah,
what they're
yes, like
called.
origami boxes, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. And then she's like, "Well, write a haiku," and I wrote one, and I was like, "That was so much fun."
Oh,
You know,
wow.
you forget.
I love to write haiku in English too. That's been like the last 7 years or so that I've done that. Before that, I didn't write haiku, but I love to write haiku in English. So that's another thing that just ties us together.
It does. Yeah. And I mean, did you want to share? I was mentioning how much I love the color of your sweater. It's a lovely lavender, and then the flower matched, and then the cherry blossoms.
And you
We have
see,
a little connection there. Yeah, she's got these cherry blossoms, and I mean, I told her my mom loves cherry blossoms, and that was like one of the last videos I sent her when the blossoms were blooming in Victoria. And your friend gave you those, right?
yes, she did, and it's almost as if your mum knew we were going to meet and was coming through because, as I was just telling Christine before we got on, there was like four of us there, and there
Hmm.
was one branch which was so much in flower. I don't know if you can see. I can't zoom in or anything. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I get it. I mean, if and I was saying I just love, Mount Fuji, the trees, the cherry blossoms of Japan. I know I've been there before, and I so want to visit. So, and now I have a friend in Japan. So,
Yes, come and visit.
yay!
Hi. Yes, I recommend the spring or the autumn though, rather than the summer.
Yeah, Julia is an English teacher in Japan, and she's saying that's a beautiful painting that
And
you have in the background.
yes, this is by my Facebook friend from South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she is a wonderful intuitive artist, and she launched her website, and so I was so happy to be able to buy this beautiful painting that helps me connect with my feminine and deepen
Oh.
into that from her.
Oh, I love that. See all the little gifts and how we're just so beautifully connected. And so, what would you like to share with us today? I know the episode is called "Aligning with Your True Nature." So, you take it away. I want everyone to enjoy this, and you just lead everyone and tell us what to do, what we need to do.
Okay, do you want to go straight into the channel transmission, or do you want to talk a bit more first, or you're open either way?
Yeah, I am open either way. I don't know how long the channeling is, so I mean, really, and yeah, that would be up to your team as well. So
They will fit it to the time that we have, I think. But let's go into that, and then there might be questions that arise with that.
yes, that would be perfect.
That's probably good. Okay. So they'll begin by just taking us into meditation and then receive the transmissions and also some messages, they say. And also, they're going to share some energetic transmissions just to support us in feeling that connection with our true nature, which is that like infinite self that we access through the heart of self. So that's what they wanted to bring through for today. And then after that, yes, if you have questions and so on, feel free to ask them. So if everyone would like to just start to connect in. Just allowing yourself to drop into the heart space. as our own guide teams and the beings of absolute light just support us in clearing through our energy fields now, now, now. And they're doing work through our chakra column. Upgrading each of our chakras to bring it into a higher alignment with the frequencies of the new earth. And this is very beautiful and interesting. The cherry blossom as a representation of the United Cherry Blossom of Japan says that she wishes to speak to us today. My beloved Gaia brothers, my beloved Gaia sisters, thank you, beautiful, shining ones, for your presence in these realms at this time when you, the humans incarnating, are to return to the roots of your connection to the deeper nature of self. Knowing self as not just the body incarnated in, but as a greater soul consciousness. Put your focus on this aspect of self now. Feel how expansive this soul essence of self is. Connected to all that exists, not defined by the physical limitations of the body. Able to connect with the soul of all other sentient beings, whether they be of your kind or other sentient beings within the Gaia realms, such as the crystals, the stones, the flowers, the mountains, and trees such as I, or whether they be the consciousnesses of those in the higher dimensions and realms. This is possible for you now, has always been possible for you, but is an aspect of self that you have forgotten. Now is the time to unlock this gift that you are to yourself. In doing so, you reconnect to the true essence of self. The most precious gift you can give to self. The most precious gift you can share in the world. And continuing to infuse us with light infusions to support us as we transition into a higher embodiment of the new earth realms, which is what they say this recent 222, the 222 gateway has symbolized, is the passing through that, so that the new earth realms, which have already been present within Gaia and the elemental realms, and for those who are highly elevating their vibration, that is going to become more apparent for the whole of humanity now that we have passed through this gate. And just working within our energy fields. to bring more coherence there. And the ascended crystals of New Earth also supporting us with their energetic transmissions now. And then they say you can just continue to stay in that energy for as long as you like. But with that their channeled transmission is now complete.
That was lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's why I made this solo, because I want to experience it too. So, and I really appreciate it. Share with us how you felt, if you have any feedback, any comments, maybe something intuitively came through. Maybe you just felt it's like anything. Maybe everybody experiences, I'm sure, it differently, just like with Reiki or anything else. For me, I mean, I know it, I don't have my door open, so it might be a little humid, but I felt very warm, very sweaty all of a sudden. Um, my body was rocking side to side, but I now know that was the spiral. That was not side to side. It was the spiraling up. And then it went closer to the end. I was actually doing this on my mouse pad. So going counterclockwise in a
Oh,
spiral.
that's great, because they were bringing in that energy of the spiral.
Yeah, so I thank you so much. I've experienced this before, but it's been a very long time, and I do feel lighter. And you've got your
Well,
kitty.
that just appeared to say hello. He likes to have
Oh,
cuddles. So.
aw. And what's the kitty's name?
Toma.
Toma?
Yes.
Aw. Oh, he's a lover. He a
He is
lover?
a real bundle of love.
I can tell he's looking up at you like, "Oh, she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen."
It's nice that he thinks so.
And you're right, Patty, I did hear the little birds chirping at the end, and she's saying that was beautiful, and she saw a laser light show.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
Beautiful.
ooh.
All the light frequencies coming in.
I did see some of that too. I mean, it was mainly black, but I had seen, like, now that Patty's mentioning it, the rainbow grid, like crystal, interesting outline. So I love that. And the more that we get to experience, tuning in, letting go, surrendering, um, channeling, whatever it is, creating, co creating, the better we all are. And Patty's just saying, "Hey, beautiful Toma."
Yes. And we see his face. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, we can see him. Aw, yeah, he's lovely. And animals know, right? They know when there's something beautiful going on, or if you're upset or you're sick, they
That's
just
for sure. Yeah. He did actually, he came in right at the end of the transmission. But yeah, I had a bit of a cold a couple of weeks ago, and he was really worried. Like he was sleeping right by my head, so that like it was like he was trying to watch over me and support me. So
Oh, he absolutely was. He says, "I'm trying to heal you."
yes, yeah, for sure.
Oh, wonderful. So let us know if you have any questions. Thank you, Patty, for sharing with, you've been so
Thank
interactive. We love you. She also was saying it was being at a Pink Floyd music show.
you. Wow, that's like that takes me back to my teenage years. I used to love Pink Floyd.
Oh, there you go. There's always a connection. There's always a connection. I love that the cherry blossom and Gaia and sentient beings. I was like, yes, yes, and bring it on. Like
Yeah,
that was
more of the yes.
absolutely. So did you want to do you do these transmissions weekly, monthly?
Yeah, I share on YouTube about once or twice a month, dependent. It's not entirely regular, but I've been tending to do them on my Thursday evening, which is Thursday morning in the US. And then I also share written messages about once a week at the moment on my Facebook page. Then they can both be found if you look up transmissions of light. Um, and also, I put all of those on the website. So the website is kind of like a centralized place to find everything that I shared. I think I'm not giving him enough attention.
No, you're not. He's like, "Excuse me?" Oh, I love that. How old is he?
He's about 6.
6, okay, okay. But I for some reason, I get old man off of him for some reason, like he's an
Probably.
old like is he kinda demanding and kinda
Um, he's really low key most of the time, like no
Mhm.
touch. Like he walks himself in and out of the house, and
Yeah, he owns himself, like he is his own boss, I guess is what I'm yeah, see, I knew it.
he wants
Thank you,
something.
Toma.
When he wants something, he's really demanding. Like if he wants me to cuddle him, or if he wants his food, he like
Yes.
this little meow that you're now hearing. He's like, hey, make sure you're paying attention to me as well.
Aw, so if any oh, look at him, he's right there, look at his eyes. "Hi, buddy." I work with animals, they're my absolute love.
Oh, beautiful. What
Yeah,
context do you communicate with them,
yeah,
or
yeah.
how beautiful?
I have. I do, I have. It's just it's a thing, and honestly, I feel it's easier to tune into animals than people. They don't have blocks. They don't have, "Oh, no." Like, sometimes people will say, "Oh, don't read my mind." And I'm like, "Ha, ha, ha, you have no idea." No, how hard it is not to, but we all have that ability. We all have telepathy, but many of us don't wanna go there because then that means we have to be vulnerable and honest, right?
and coming to higher integrity as well.
Integrity. And that's, yeah, that's part of what I do is I don't walk up to people and give them readings because I'm a professional first
Mm.
and foremost, and nobody asked me to, right? So, it's all about being polite, professional, prepared. I kind of like to keep to those standards because um, you're dealing with people's lives, like their energy and the animals too. And you working with your team as well. I'm sure that's
Right.
important.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting discussion because sometimes my team will be like, "We really want you to say this to this person," and I'm like, "Well, what if they don't want to, receive a message?" So I tend to say, "Oh, there's something that's coming through, and is it okay if I share it with you?" Is Does that happen with you? You find like sometimes I mean, you were saying that you do it in a or you don't do it all the time. You wait until that professional context when there is that contract between you and the client. But does it also, when you're kind of like walking in the world, are there occasions when your team will be like, oh, we really want you to share this? Or does that not happen so much?
It does, but sometimes I'll just keep it, and somehow they come back into my life
Oh,
at a
that.
later point, or I'll share it with someone that's connected to them.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it doesn't come off too weird, but sometimes I'll be like, I'll go, I had a dream. I think that's easier for people to hear. When I say I had this dream about you and this happened, to be more open to it because they'll be like, a dream, whatever.
Right. And then they might come back to it like 6 months later or a year later or however long and say, oh, wow, that's what Christine, or, maybe if you don't even know them, that's what that beautiful blonde lady was talking
And even in readings, like people be like, "Well, don't you remember in the reading?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't." Because you open up, you do the reading, the healing, and then you close everything. So it doesn't go with you because if
about.
it did, that you would have so many ailments and issues, right? And I write them down, so I don't, but that's why we record these things because then they can go back and go, I don't know what you meant by this. Like we have psychic amnesia. And then 6 months later, like you said, they're like, oh, I get it now. Or I remember.
Right. Right. It's like with that whole, I got the message that the start of June will be important, and at the time, I was like June, start of June, nothing planned for that. But by that time, I'd been on the journey long enough to trust, so I wrote it down. But then when you look back in retrospect, it really it was a very significant date for me. So I think that happens with other people too, with the things that they get in the messages and the sessions.
And it's I used to question, but that we talked about that before is about the ego. The ego questions everything and it's negative and it's
Wow.
your critical self, really, that's what it is.
Mm.
But when a message comes through, I just trust it even if they're very hard to relay sometimes. But
Yeah.
it's not from me though. That's the thing. That's where the beautiful part is. You're just the messenger.
Right.
Mm.
Right, and I think I mean I do this less now because like you now I do trust it, but at the beginning it was like my ego would be saying the doubting voice, and I'd have to choose to step into like my higher self and be like, well, even though my ego is doubting, I know that I'm getting this message to share, so I'm going to share it. So it's like even when the ego is kicking up a lot of noise there, you can still choose not to listen to it or not to adhere to whatever it's telling you to do. Just bring that
Mhm.
like wiser part of yourself, or that more aligned part of yourself, and choose to align with that.
Yeah, and it takes practice. And that's why, the meditation, breath work, whatever it is, creating an altar, a sacred space, tuning into your inner child again, um, forgiveness, art, like play, is very important. Patty's just saying tiger cats are just so special.
Yeah. He is very special.
And she's saying, well, heck, share away with me, please. So I'm wondering if Patty is asking for a message or if there was something for her. Well, obviously, that Pink Floyd, there was some type of symbolism there.
They say if they were going to share something with you, they would say that you are on a very high aligned path, and that if you just let yourself just shift like a tiny little fraction of a step to the side, then it's going to just like be an amazing, like a new vista that unfolds before you. That sounds rather cryptic to me. I don't quite know what that means, but I hope that connects with you.
Yeah, vista. When I hear vista, it's a new viewpoint. It's a new point of view. It's your perception, your reality is your awareness. So where is your view, your vista, your viewpoint, your reality? What is this? Where's the veil? It's yeah, very interesting. I really like that. I really like that. A journey, definitely a journey. Um, hmm. Now, you mentioned June. You lost me in.
Back when I was telling my story about how I opened up, that was when Archangel Metatron came in, and then they gave me the message like 2 or 3 months in advance, and the first weekend of June is going to be important, and I had no idea why when they told me that, but put it on the calendar. This circle it. This is a significant weekend.
Yeah, no, I think that's why I needed to hear it again because I also feel it's for Patty as well, and June is for me as well because something significant is happening in June. So thank you, thank you for. I had a bit of psychic amnesia there for a minute.
No problem. That's all. What special thing is happening for you in June?
I Well, long story short, I bought a plane ticket, and when you fly somewhere into certain countries, you're allowed a year or 3 months, but most cases it's for 90 days. And now I'm trying to extend it, and I picked June. I picked a date in June to fly back, but I know for a fact I'm not going back. I really am not going back to Canada. So, that's significant for me. So I guess I'm just coming to terms with it. I'm like, okay, what's next, right? So June is kind of like a catalyst point because I want to hold a retreat in Peru, in Machu Picchu to be specific.
Oh, wow, that would be incredible, wouldn't it? Oh, that will be incredible.
It will be absolutely. So if that means I speed up my retreat to June,
Mm.
and then I'm going somewhere else, or if I'm waiting till September. So I feel like June is, yeah, again, there are no coincidences in your story, in Patty's story, and anyone else that's listening and watching. There's some symbolism in whatever we shared today.
Right. Yeah, just
Yeah.
let that speak to you like the cherry blossoms spoke.
Yes. And Patty says, "Yes, I get it." Okay. Amen. Amen. And we're cheering you on, and we know we'll hear from you. I mean, she's been supporting myself and my channel for a very long time. And she's asking you, did you seek the archangels for this gift?
Did I seek the archangels? What? Can you just clarify the question? Sorry.
I'm thinking she's asking, like, did you say, I need the archangels to come in to help me with my gift? Maybe that's my interpretation, but
No, not as such. I guess I just prayed each day that I want to be of service, actually, more than anything. And then the archangels came in more.
mm, mm. So I hear the surrender.
Right. Yeah.
Meaning I didn't need anything outside of me. I am whole and complete, and how may I serve?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wouldn't say I'd got to that whole space where I always feel whole and complete. Actually, I would love to get there, but it was a sense of, yeah, it was more. I was saying before, when I shared my story, like it's like this can't be happening just for me. Like there's got to be a wider purpose that I can serve through this, awakening that has happened to me. So how can I serve, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's like a choice point, because the ego wants to be grand and grandiose and celebrity and get all these likes and followers and money and affirmate, being affirmed of being number one, to you saying, I don't know what this is. I don't, I feel I'm ready, and I'm open, and here I am.
Right. That's
Okay.
very much how it started, I think. And then since then, it's become a much more direct or like
Okay.
path that they navigate me through. So then it was entirely open, and I was like, well, I have no idea what it might look like. But now it's like, well, it's the work with the beings of absolute light, but still that I have no idea what that might look like. Often, like there's always new developments in that as they ask me to bring through various transmissions, or actually all the sessions and all the circles as well that I do. It's not just that they channel in them, they actually say, okay, we're going to put this session up on the website. Like I don't think of anything for myself. I just receive it from them, and then we put it on there. So it's very much like I see it as being like their work, though I do understand that, they need me to be the vessel through which they can speak. But it's not like, so it's definitely not the ego directing it. It's like I'm receiving the instruction, and then I am the one in the physical world who then puts that instruction into place, because I'm the one who can type on the computer, or sit here and talk to you, or whatever it is that needs doing in the moment.
Yeah. No, I get that. Thank you for explaining that. And now Patty's asking, how to be of service. That's how she's asking, or what she's asking.
Yeah, I read that as she's also asking, you praying, asking her guides, how can I be of service? Yeah, that's how I began.
So you're on your way. I know it really is for me, and probably for you, it's a testament in patience, if anything, and faith.
Yes, and courage, I think. Like
Courage, yeah.
like
Yeah, that's
I think
important.
of myself as a very brave or courageous person in general, but I think in following this journey, I really have been. Like I think I've got internal courage, not so much external courage. I'm not going to go and bungee jump or something, but I have internal courage, and I think that walking this path has really allowed me to see that, and it has. Yeah, it does take a lot of courage, because you release a lot of what you were interacting with before. I am still teaching English, as you said before. It's not like I've completely released my previous source of income, but I've released kind of attachment to it. And it's like, well, you trust that the divine will support you, because when you make the leap, you do. I've released the amount of time that I put into that, and there's been also, some friendships that have been released and things, and you do it trusting that it's right, but also I think you do it knowing, like it feels right within you, like feels right deep within that connection to that more that you are to the soul. So I haven't. Except for my ego voice speaking into doubt, which it does sometimes. But then when you drop into that deeper part of yourself, it's easy to be like, oh no, it is okay. That's just my ego. And actually this is what feels aligned.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Thank you for sharing that. And funny. It's like when I came out of the spiritual closet, for me, funny. Everyone was like, Yeah. I was more afraid of what other people would think. And when they said whatever, we knew that's natural. And I was like, it's me then. Anyways,
That's
did you
really
have that experience?
well, because it was also sudden with me because I hadn't been like I literally didn't own before like 2013 when I got onto this path, and actually until just even a few years ago, I didn't even own a single oracle deck. Like I totally wasn't into anything at all spiritual, so it wasn't like my friends would have been like, oh, we always knew. And I haven't really, I mean, I guess I have come out of the spiritual closet, but I haven't in that I was never in it. Like as I was discovering these things for myself, like they were so significant to me and felt so important, and that I was just sharing them with people kind of like almost immediately, like not in a trying to get them to be on the same pathway, but in trying to explain my experience, because certainly my close friends, they knew that I had been anxious and depressed, and then I was getting a little bit better and a little bit better, and so I was explaining just what it was that I was doing that was helping me to feel better, and then that led into I guess not so many people locally perhaps know that I channel, because that is a bit different. That's not something that necessarily comes up in everyday conversation. But I'm not actively hiding it either. I feel like I kind of never really was in the spiritual closet because it was also fast tracked that I kind of like put it all out there in the open to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah, like flying under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has a different experience. And yeah, I appreciate that. I understand. Um, and I always ask my guests two questions before we end the show.
Mm,
How can we as a collective energy help make your dreams come true? What is your Moby Dick?
wow. Well, I would just like to see all of us grounding more into the love that we are, and to like be the embodiment of that in the world, whatever that looks like, so that we truly can create this like new earth reality, and the reality aligned with those higher vibrational energies in the earth plane as quickly as possible. So yeah, tap into what does being love look like for you, first in relation to yourself. Like we first need to give that love to ourselves and then to the people around you, and then in the wider context of sharing your gifts in the world, like what might that look like too? I guess that would be a question that I would ask each person who's listening, whether you're here now or listening later on replay.
Yeah, that's a great, if not me, and it's we, and that's how we're going to get there. Is exactly what you just said. Thank you. Last question. What does magic mean to you? And I know you had put that in the podcast form, but here we are.
Right, magic. I tend to think of it as miracles more than magic, but it's like the whole journey that where I was just saying, where I never could have imagined then where I am now. It's like when we start to co-create with the divine and we allow the divine to be part of our life and part of what we are doing and part of what we are bringing through, as you were saying, surrendering to the divine and allowing that to be what comes through us, like just the most amazing things that we never could have imagined. We get taken there, and that's kind of what magic or miracles means to me. Is that it's the discovery of self, like the discovery of that aspect of self that you never even, or that I never knew existed before I was on this path, and then the sense of being at home and safe in your own body that then gives you, when you realize that you're not just the body, you are the soul, and you're also connected to the divine and everything else. It really helps, I think, us to feel very different in our personal experience in the world. It's aligning with that perspective, that new vista that you were talking about. And then as you start to align with that more and more, and to then actively co-create with the divine, really, yes, I mean, I never would have imagined that I would be on this journey, and I'm just loving it, and it's so fulfilling to be doing this work. So I think that is the potential that opens up when we co-create with the divine, and allow those miracles and that magic to come in.
Yeah, co-creating with the divine allows the miracles and magic to come through. I mean, it is symbiotic, it is cyclical. Think of yourself as the alchemist, the magician, whatever you resonate with, just to start embodying that. And hello, Sweet Eyes. That's quite the name. Thank you for joining us, Sweet Eyes. And Patty, she's just saying that's beautiful, Julie. So it's being in alignment with God.
Yes, yeah, I tend to use the word source or divine, but yes, God as well. Being
Yeah, yeah, I
and
say that, and you got to choose. You got to pick something. You have to choose
yeah,
to
and being in
believe.
alignment with, I guess, the divine's plan for your life.
Yes,
Would be how
and
I would put it.
yeah, and just stepping into it, like Julia did, like Patty did, like myself, and like you said, every day I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, I was making, some big money in corporate sales, but I was so dead spiritually. And now, now I'm like I'm on fire in a sense. I think of that phoenix. We are untouchable. We are absolutely untouchable when you really tap into your innate power, into your innate. It's God given. It really is. We just forgot. That's it. So don't beat yourself up.
Right. And now is the time for us all to remember. And I know, lots of the spiritual teachers or leaders, they write that as re and then the hyphen and member. And that's what we're doing. Like, we're reintegrating that aspect of ourselves now. And it truly is the time for
It
us to
is.
be collective.
Mm. And with that, I thank you so much for joining me. I've had an amazing time, and I know that we're gonna co-create and do a little bit more throughout the year. As spirit leads, right? Of course. Is there any last messages or anything you'd like to share and people get in touch with you?
Well, first, thank you. It's been such a pleasure enjoying this conversation with you, and with Patty and the others that have been on. So thank you. And yes, if you would like to follow me, you can find me on Facebook and YouTube under Transmissions of Light. I think the YouTube is actually Julia Greef, Transmissions of Light. And then my website is transmissionsoflight.net. So I'd love to have you on the Facebook page or on YouTube if the work has resonated with you, and look forward to connecting with you again.
Absolutely. Such a beautiful transmission and healing that came through, alignments and upgrades. So you'll have to go back and listen or watch, and feel free to leave us some feedback if you'd like. And if this resonates wherever you listen on your podcast, please rate and review us so more people can share in this beautiful energy and the transmissions of light. All right. Thank you so much again, Julia. I'm sending you lots of love and light. And everyone, please take care, and please remember, healing begins where the ego ends.